Good morning and welcome in, everybody. I'm Marc Farzetta. Welcome to the Farzy Show here at the Steven Singer Studios. So much to get to today. A lot of Phillies conversation. We got some Eagles conversation to get to. Is there some word about Zach Ertz reporting to training camp? What else is he going to do? He's not going to hold out for training camp. It's Zach Ertz, people. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Paul Hudrick will join the show today to talk some 10-9-8 76ers and a couple of revelations I've had in regards to Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, and all the usual suspects that we've talked about a lot in the last couple of days since last couple of weeks, since the Sixers have been eliminated from the playoffs. One hell of a game one last night. Giannis Antetokounmpo puts up 20 points, 17 rebounds. He looked pretty good. Hyperextension didn't seem like it was that big of a deal with his knee. Chris Paul came out and just absolutely balled, game high 32 points. We'll get into that series as game one got underway last night. That series got underway. Plenty to get to in the basketball world today, and we'll get to all of it with our good friend Paul Hudrick of 97.3 ESPN, as well as coming in for a landing podcast. But we'll start off today by talking about those Phillies. Hey, I know it's the Cubs. And I know the people that want to play the job of the fun police will go, it's only the Cubs. You should do this. Exactly. You should do this. I feel like we talk about this in football more than anything, where a team will come into Lincoln Financial Field, and they're not a very good team. And I just say, I took a lot of flack for who was it? The Lions that came in here last. I forget who it was last year. Somebody came in the Lincoln Financial Field, and I was like, all right, just go out there and have a prove it game. Prove that you're 20 points better than the Lions, for instance. And people were like, how do you have a prove it game against a team that sucks? Well, you do exactly what you should do against a team that sucks. You beat the crap out of them. And so far in this series, the Phillies have had their way with the Chicago Cubs. And yesterday, they put up 15 runs on the Cubs' 15-10 victory in a game where Aaron Nola, here we go again, didn't have his best stuff. 6 innings of work, 4 earned runs in that time. You don't ever want to see that from a guy that's supposed to be your ace, your opening day starter, and a guy that's been having a lot of struggles over the course of this year. But didn't have his best stuff. 100 pitches over 6 innings, which by today's standards ain't that bad. But still, 100 pitches, 6 innings, and went out there and still got the win, thanks in large part to your offense waking up in yet another game. And I don't think we can just dismiss the fact that you have the full lineup that's healthy and you can feel confident in it for the first time this season. Granted, again, the competition they're playing against. But let's start it off with what the Phillies started off with yesterday. Gene Segura belted a double to left field. Next thing you know, JT Realmuto gets hit by a pitch. Next thing you know, Bryce Harper gets a single. You have the bases loaded for Andrew McCutchen, who starts off the game for you with no outs with a grand slam. What better way to start out a ball game than that? I know the leadoff home run's always nice, but you put that pressure on, load the bases, get the grand slam, you're up 4-0 before you even blink an eye, before an out's even recorded. Why not do that every night? But Phillies come out to get the win last night. Rhys Hoskins got his 20th home run of the season and an absolute blast to left center field. Bryce Harper got his first non-solo home run of the season with a 3-run home run in the game last night. And there was just a lot of positives to take away. Bryce Harper, 5-hit night, 5 for 6, raised his average to 282 on the year. This is exactly what you want to see. And look, you're going to end the first half of the season, the pre-All-Star game of half of the season, that is, with this series against the Cubs, and then going to Boston for 3 games against the Red Sox. You want that feeling going into the All-Star break of, hey, we're in a spot right now where we feel like we don't want to stop playing. You want to keep it going. And that's kind of where the Phillies are right now. And that's the momentum you want them to build come the All-Star break. You want that feeling of, man, I can't wait to get back after it. And that's what the Phillies are trying to build for themselves right now. As far as this game goes, it's really all you can really take away from it. It's a confidence booster. We're not on the same level as the Cubs. We're a much better ball club than the Cubs. We'll take that into the break to feel good about ourselves when we come out of it. So hopefully they keep this good vibe going. As far as I know, the bats are the lead story, and what you can't really say much more. Rhys Hoskins had a great at bat where he really battled I think it took about 9 pitches or so to drive in a run on a sacrifice fly, which is always great to see. It shows that the approach is good. Joe Girardi spoke about that at length after the game as far as the offense went, that their approach was good. Everybody went up to the plate with a plan. Everybody executed that plan, and it's exactly what you want to have in a lineup, especially when you have everybody healthy. But the other thing I'll get into before I move on to the arms here, and once again, the bats looking good, is how different the top of the order was in this particular game. Gene Segura obviously back healthy, leading off. JT Realmuto batting second. Bryce Harper batting third. Andrew McCutchen was your 4-hole hitter yesterday. As if that wasn't obvious enough with the grand slam that he hit, batting fourth in the game. And then you had Rhys Hoskins batting fifth, protecting McCutchen. Hoskins had been moved down about 6 in the lineup, bumped up a couple of spots yesterday, and he responded by hitting yet another home run. So all this is just Joe Girardi trying to push the right buttons with the lineup coming back healthy to make sure that they're producing runs as much as humanly possible before moving on to Boston. So we'll see how that continues to go, and hopefully that continues to bear fruit. Phillies now 1 game below 500 at 41-42 on the season. Now, as far as the arms go, Aaron Nola had talked about 6 innings, 4 runs in the ballgame. But Joe Girardi spoke about what he liked from Aaron Nola tonight at Wrigley Field.
He had the one inning where, he had a couple, I think the first 3 hitters, he had 2 strikes on and weren't able to get him out, but he was able to kind of buckle down after that and make some real pitches in the middle of that order to get some important outs. And then he hung a curveball to Javi. But I thought he threw the ball pretty well. And 2 of his last 3 starts have been pretty good. I mean, like I said, can be a tough ballpark to pitch in when the wind's like it is.
The thing that was funny was Joe Girardi said this ballpark, Wrigley Field, and he's played enough game for the Cubs, obviously. When the wind's blowing out, it's a hitter's ballpark, and it's been the last 2 days. When the wind's blowing in, it's all pitchers all the time. You're talking about in the early months of the season, April, May, you're talking about a ballpark that is absolutely a pitcher's ballpark. Middle of the summer in the hitting weather, the hitting season, as we always talk about, it's definitely a hitter's ballpark, and that has been the example so far in this series. Bailey Falter. Faltered a lot in this game. 5 earned runs in this ball game last night as your first reliever out of the pen for Aaron Nola in just an inning and 2/3. An odd one, to say the absolute least, for him. Did I say odd? I meant terrible. We've been talking about this for 2 weeks now in terms of it's been, the Office sketch or the Office bit where they say, it's been so many days since our last nonsense, the no-nonsense office when Dwight Schrute takes over. That's what this game was. Unfortunately, you had some nonsense take over. So we're still at 0. Not necessarily since a blown save, but just some nonsense. Faltered, and there was some nonsense, unfortunately. But as far as the rest of the arms went, Baez just absolutely was amazing again yesterday. 2 home runs. The one he hit against De Los Santos was an absolute blast to center field. The one he hit against Nola that you just heard Joe Girardi reference, that was another blast to left center field. Yeah, the ball was flying out of the ballpark, and the Phillies have certainly had their way with the long ball so far in this series. As far as, again, the arms, Jake Arrieta, old tight pants, was on the bump yesterday. And, Allie, I know a lot of people are pissed at Jake Arrieta because he didn't reach expectations here even a little bit. You signed him with a 3-year, $75 million deal late 4 years ago, I guess it would. No, 3 years ago. You started late in spring training. He caught up, made some starts, obviously. Never was able to put it together as anything that you really expected to be great here in Philadelphia, anything that you expected him to be in Philly. And injuries were an issue throughout his time here. And other than him allowing us to laugh at his extremely tight pants, there wasn't a lot that he offered. I don't know who it was on Twitter yesterday, but it popped up in my feed. They said this was Jake Arrieta's best start for the Phillies. And, man, you ain't wrong. Yesterday, Arrieta didn't even make it to the didn't even make it out of the second inning. An inning and 2/3, 7 earned runs allowed. More of this, please, Phillies. Let this be the confidence booster. And after the game, Rhys Hoskins talked about how, and it seems like it's that time of the year. We're going into the All-Star break soon. And, shortly thereafter, the trade deadline is right there. July 31st, trade deadline. It's always right there. It's always staring it down. Well, the Phillies, Rhys Hoskins yesterday after the game talked about how he hopes that the good vibes that they create going into the All-Star break at least changes the mind of the front office to maybe look at this team as buyers more so than sellers. And look, I always want my baseball club, I always want my team, regardless of what sport, to be buyers at a deadline. You want them to be in a position where buying makes sense. I hope the Phillies are in a position where buying makes sense. And I think that's the most obvious thing you can say about it, but it's a thing that needs to be said, after Rhys Hoskins addressed it after the game last night, hoping that they could change the mind, the direction of the front office with how the Phillies are playing going into the trade deadline. So we will see how all that shakes out. Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Now, we didn't talk too much with Paul Hudrick about this because we recorded just before the game was about to tip off. But my take on the game last night, two things I referenced earlier. One, Giannis is healthy. So I think we're going to have a series here, a 6-7 game series. Two, Chris Paul is incredible. There was a play with about 3 minutes left in the third quarter where Chris Paul had Portis on him out on the top of the key. And Chris Paul was just toying with him, it felt like. He was going between his legs. He was crossing over. He was kind of feeling out. Whenever you see a guard or really anyone at the top of the key, you can see. Embiid even does it, where he's kind of feeling out his defender like he's boxing. Like, if I move this way, you're going to move that way? All right, if I move this way, you're going to do that? Okay. And Chris Paul just kind of, you talk about the ball on a string. He had Bobby Portis on a string yesterday. And he was just kind of rocking him up there at the top of the key. Hesitated for a second. Dribble drive, penetration, easy scoop layup, and Bobby Portis was left. I think he made it to by the time Portis made it to the foul line, I think Chris Paul was already running back up the court, after, kind of celebrating his made layup. And it was like, yeah, Chris Paul can do whatever he wants in this series. Great first game. Suns obviously take it, game 1 against the Bucks. But with Giannis being healthy, his first game back, you saw a 20-point night from him. I do think we're going to have a series with the Bucks having their leader back. Chris Middleton had another good game, 20-plus points. 30 points, I believe it was last night for the Bucks. So look, I think it's still going to be a series. Good game 1, good way to get things started, but I still think the Bucks are going to be able to pull this out even after last night's performance. But I told you last night I like the Suns to win that game. We're going to get to Paul Hudrick joining us in just a second here, but before we do that, coming up in our morning rush, I didn't watch a lot of the match yesterday with who was it? It was Mickelson, it was Bryson DeChambeau, it was Aaron Rodgers, and it was Tom Brady. But there was a couple of what's really amazing to me is that there are no secrets with Aaron Rodgers. There are no secrets with Aaron Rodgers. Everyone is going in there asking him questions about what's going on with Green Bay. They did it on the broadcast. They did it in digital shorts leading up to the broadcast, where they were playing a little Jeopardy in honor of Aaron Rodgers hosting Jeopardy some time ago now. And even Tom Brady during the match poking some fun at Aaron Rodgers. And I think Tom Brady was almost in the Peyton Manning role, because if you remember the last time, Peyton Manning was the guy kind of taking jabs at Tom Brady, saying, oh, is that Nick Foles over there? Like, they were having some fun with this, and it was fun to watch in the brief moments I did watch. I have a sample for you coming up in a minute where Tom Brady on the course was poking some fun at Aaron Rodgers in this situation in Green Bay. Is he going to play in Green Bay? Is he done in Green Bay? Does he hate Green Bay? Is he the leader of the Packers or not? So we'll get to all that and more coming up in just a second. But right here at the Steven Singer Studios, I want to make sure that I tell you about our good friend Steven Singer. You find that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, it's great. But all the stuff that goes along with it, the pressure, people hate that, They engagement talk. They talk about where you're going to buy the ring, how much you're going to spend, whether or not you can hassle and haggle and all that other stuff that goes along with it. You don't got to worry about that at Steven Singer Jewelers, because that's why other people say, I hate Steven Singer, because all those other things are excuses. It makes you delay things and delay the inevitable. I don't want to go buy an engagement ring yet. Too expensive. I don't want to have to negotiate. I don't want them hassling me. No, I hate the question. Steven Singer removes all those excuses. That's why people say, I hate this guy, because he makes it too damn easy to buy a diamond ring when you want to get engaged, or a big present for someone special in your life. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, or at IHateStevenSinger.com right now. Check out all their inventory. And also go to the store itself. Have a real jewelry expert walk you through everything at Steven Singer Jewelers. You'll feel taken care of. You'll feel relaxed. You'll feel like the people behind the counter know exactly what you're thinking. It's just a great time. Go to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, and make sure he just dazzles you with everything that he has to offer there. Real people, real jewelers that are ready to help you find the perfect ring or gift at the perfect price. No haggling, no discounts, no sales, no promo codes. Just every single day, the perfect price. Check out Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia, or online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Always fast and free shipping. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line and talk to our good friend, Mr. Paul Hudrick. Now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line to talk some 76ers basketball, 76ers news, Ben Simmons at Wimbledon, Ben Simmons' mansion not having a basketball hoop, all that fun stuff. We got him right here from 97.3 ESPN, as well as Coming in for a Landing podcast. Our good friend Paul Hudrick joins us. Paul, first things first, you look the same. We got a comment last time that said you got a different look every time you're on here. You still look like $1 million damn dollars to me, my friend.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that. And that did I got to admit, I felt so self-conscious. I'm like, I guess I got to wear the same look and get the glasses and the hat again, or else Mark's viewers are going to be very concerned. So,
let's get this. Let me jump right into this with you, my friend. I don't know what to make of all this. The more we get removed from the end of the season for the Sixers, the more I think it's illogical to think that Ben Simmons would be involved in a trade for Damian Lillard. Then there's a report that comes out from The Ringer that says the Sixers are hoping to trade for Damian Lillard. And I'm like, I'm sure a lot of teams are hoping to trade for Damian Lillard. Do you believe, more than a snowball's chance in hell, of the Sixers actually trading Ben Simmons for Damian Lillard as part of a package to get Damian Lillard? How do you think that would play out? Do you think that's possible?
it is 100% up to what Damian Lillard wants, because that's what's driving all of this.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons. I mean, it depends. If he's happy there and he wants to stay there, he's going to stay there. They're not going to trade him unless he wants to be traded. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, if he wants to be traded, I would imagine he wants to be on a contender. He wants to go to a team that's trying to win now. And when you look at the contenders and the teams that could possibly be a fit, you'd have to imagine the Sixers are pretty high on that list, not only from Lillard's standpoint of wanting to be on a contender, wanting to play with, an MVP caliber player like Joel Embiid. But then on top of that, if you're, looking at it from the Portland Trailblazers perspective, the Sixers have, for a contending team, the Sixers have some pretty attractive assets. Ben Simmons among them. I get it. I understand that what we all saw and all that, but I think, and I did see recently some people saying Ben Simmons' value is probably a little higher than most people think. And it's I never saw, don't get me wrong, it's low. It's low as far as it's the lowest it's been. As we go back in the last few years, it's definitely the lowest, but it's not low. He is 24 years old. He is a 3-time All-Star. He is runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. I get all the flaws. His unwillingness and his inability to shoot. I get all that. Disappeared completely in those games, hit 32% of his free throws. I understand all of that. But that version that we just saw was the worst version of Ben Simmons you could possibly ever see. I think I get where Philadelphia fans, they struggle to deal with that concept because of what they just saw and how raw it is and how heartbroken they still are over it. But the reality is Ben Simmons has value. He is a valuable, talented basketball player. Again, admitted flaws, obvious ones, but there's got to be a team I imagine there's multiple teams that see him and think, well, even the best, the best of what we've seen actually of Ben Simmons is pretty good, and he could theoretically get better. So, to round that all about, yes, absolutely, there is a chance if Dame Lillard wants to be out of Portland that the Sixers could potentially offer the best package to Portland with Ben Simmons as a centerpiece.
If I'm Damian Lillard, there's two things I want. One, I want to win. That goes above everything else. The other thing I want is attention, because I didn't get a lot of that when I was in Oregon. I didn't get a lot of that when I was in Oregon, when I was in Portland, right? And I wasn't getting a lot of attention or love. So that's why the New York market comes into play here. But as far as wanting to win and still getting attention, I think it comes down to two other places. I think it comes down to Miami, and I think it comes down to Philadelphia. If I'm talking about attention, other than Los Angeles and maybe teaming up with LeBron or something like that, or Kawhi and Paul George, or if Kawhi decides to leave, whatever. I think the two East Coast places that are most likely are Miami and Philadelphia. And if I'm Damian Lillard, the place that makes the most sense for the best of both worlds is Philly. And that's when I try to take a step back and look at it objectively. Am I being too much of a homer there, or does that make the most sense?
No, it does. Miami, I mean, Miami took, as much as like the Sixers certainly ended in disappointment for them this year, the Miami Heat took a big step back. They were in the finals and they got eliminated. They got swept in the first round. So from that perspective, you know, if you're him from just a competitive standpoint, and then also look at Jimmy Butler's age compared to Joel Embiid's age, you know, as the guys who were kind of the you know, the star players already on that team, you have a bigger window with a Joel Embiid than you do with a Jimmy Butler, theoretically. I know injuries and all that and big men. Yes. I get all that, but I still think that gives him, you know, the better option to win right now. Yeah, the New York market's great, but like you said, that's just not a good enough basketball team, even if you put Damian Lillard there. And if you do that, you're going to take away some pretty important pieces, I would think, that would make the Knicks that good. And that's what I think the Sixers too. Like you take the players away that you would for Damian Lillard, and it's still a really good basketball team with a lot of pieces. Now, you also mentioned the LA teams, Mark, and I think you can't rule them out. Whether it's the Lakers were doing some kind of crazy cap gymnastics to making that all work out and offloading some cash somewhere, it would be really difficult, but I guess not impossible. The Clippers, it would make sense either, like you said, if Kawhi doesn't want to be there, or you know, again, trying to round up enough salary to try to make that work, but that would be also very difficult because of, you know, Lillard's cap number. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a homer, like a homerism thing to think that the Sixers theoretically could be his best fit.
All right. Now here's what really scares me there, Paul Hudrick. The team of leprechauns in Boston. Jaylen Brown's been rumored to be out there for a while in terms of availability. They have a new head coach, obviously, that I'm sure wants to make a splash right away. And they have their former head coach, who's now their new general manager, who I'm sure also wants to make a splash. It basically scares the hell out of me is what it does. I have this sneaky suspicion that if he is traded and it is to an East Coast team, that the Celtics just might have the second most attractive offer to the Sixers. The only reason I put them second is because you don't know what you have in Ime Udoka as a head coach. You don't know what you have teaming up with Jason Tatum, even though it sounds really good on paper. If I'm Damian Lillard, I know that he's going to want his shots. Jason Tatum's going to want his shots. If I'm playing with Joel Embiid, I know he's going to want his shots, but he's going to spend the majority of his time down low if I am running the offense and Ben Simmons is not. I feel like the best balance is here in Philly, but I feel like right after that, you're talking about the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the package goes, too, I mean, Jaylen Brown is a hell of a player. That would be a great get for them. And right now, at these stages of their career, you could argue that Jaylen Brown is a much more finished product. So I guess it kind of depends on what Portland's looking at. And I guess theoretically, like I could see Jaylen Brown going to Portland and becoming a star there. Like he's already on the cusp of that, right? I mean, made an all-star team. He's pretty damn good, but like
gotten better every year.
That could be his launch, you know, going into Portland and having that be his team. That could be like kind of his, you know, way of really putting his name into the kind of stratosphere as among the star players in the league. So Portland could bank on that, and you know, would Jaylen Brown be a better bet than Ben Simmons right now? Yes, you'd have to say yes. But I also think, you know, if Portland also wants young players, you know, I'd rather have Tyrese Maxey or Matisse Thybulle, some combination of that, than, I don't know, name it on the Celtics, you know, Romeo Langford, Aaron Nesmith, like, you know, some guys that might be pretty good players eventually, but not to the proven, you know, already we've seen Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle affect winning on a number one seed and in the playoff game. So if you're Portland and, you know, you get the Sixers package, you're still a competitive team. You're not, you know, you're maybe not where you were if you have Damian Lillard, but you're still a competitive team. So I could see that being the slightly more attractive package for the Celtics. But at the same time, sure, Jaylen Brown would be one heck of a get for the Trailblazers.
we have a full offseason to go here. If you had to guess right now where Damian Lillard ends up, does he stay in Portland or just the field? Portland or the field?
I go Portland right now. I it's just that I haven't seen enough. Like, I feel like granted, Damian Lillard has been very, he's part of that Portland community. He's been there forever, and he's an icon. So like, he probably wouldn't want to create waves necessarily, but at the same time, like, I feel like if a guy really wants out, we really know it, and I don't feel that way yet with Damian Lillard. Like, there's been clearly that Chris Haynes report was pretty damning, and him not being thrilled with the coaching search and the fans kind of being mad at him for whatever reason, and it was a weird thing there. But
yeah, with Phillips and everything.
Right. But to me, it was nothing that can't just be blown over. Like, I feel like they'll be fine. I think that Neil Olshey is probably telling Dame behind the scenes, like, give me this offseason. Let me see what I can do. Let me try to give you a better team, and let's see if we can go at this with a new coach and see if we can be better. And I think that's the conversations. And I don't think we're there with a Damian Lillard quite like a forcing of the trade. And they're not going to do it unless he forces it, because there's no reason to do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, right. Okay, same question for Ben Simmons. The 76ers, Ben Simmons, the 76er next year, or the field?
Now, this one is a little trickier, but my answer might surprise you. But I think Sixers still.
Okay. Well, I mean, in all honesty, it's not surprising because, as you said, he's not low in terms of selling value, but he's the lowest he's ever been, which means he's pretty damn close to being middle of the value, I guess, however you want to put it. So that means if he plays 20 games, 30 games with the Sixers next year, he could wind up as a much better return for someone else's investment. So you think he returns to the Sixers?
Yeah, I mean, that's just my feeling, and it's not based on he's untouchable, or they think he's going to be the answer for the next decade. Like, no, right. It's not really based on that. It's more some of the stuff you already mentioned when you talk about value, and just what does it hurt to let the other GMs see him for 20 games and remind them, oh yeah, this is why this guy's actually pretty special, and maybe we could be the team that gets him the most out of him and figure it out. So I mean, from that perspective, I think that's part of the reason he stays. And like, I think to tie it back in with the Damian Lillard conversation, they're not going to trade him unless they're getting really good value. Like, they're not going to do it just to do it. And that would be a losing strategy. Like, that's how you lose trades. That's how you don't get proper value for players, is when you go in thinking, I have to trade this guy. Daryl Morey isn't going to do that. He's going to say, well, if I can get Damian Lillard in a package, yeah, I'll move Ben Simmons. Or if I can get Bradley Beal, someone like that. I'm on I've now kind of come to the side of Zach LaVine. I would pull the trigger as well for a Zach LaVine.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is bigger. I wouldn't have done that 6 months ago, but now I would, to be perfectly honest. But I just think from a value standpoint, you are selling low and you're hurting yourself by doing it now, unless you can get, again, a team like Portland or a team like Washington, who, maybe they're thinking they're kind of buying low on Ben Simmons or something. I don't know. Unless that can kind of come to fruition, I just think it makes the most sense. And I know Sixers fans don't want to hear it, but I think if you're a Sixers fan, I think this outcome makes the most sense. And that is, keep him coming into the next season and see if he can just uptick his value just a bit.
Yeah, I'm having a conversation about Zach LaVine. I'm having a conversation about CJ McCollum. It's an open cupboard. You know what it is? It's a briefcase full of money for Damian Lillard. Take whatever you want out of this and give me Damian Lillard. That's where I'm at with those guys. The last thing I want to ask you about Ben Simmons before I talk a little about the NBA Finals. When it comes to Ben coming back, let's say he is with the 76ers, and both you and I, if we're betting men and we had to bet on what's the favorite, I say he still comes back to Philadelphia. But what are the odds that he does come back with a mid-range game and an improved foul shot, let's say 70%? How confident are you that he will improve upon those things in his game?
To be honest, I'm not confident at all, right? I mean, we're being
honest, yes.
Right. It's the history of it. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. So what leads me to believe that it's going to happen this time? Now, I think with that said, as much as I am being honest when I'm being a pessimist in that regard, there are some things that give you some reasons for optimism. One is that I think he really trusts Doc Rivers, and I don't know that trust has always been there with the people that were kind of directing him, at least within the Sixers, but I think he trusts Doc Rivers. And I think, we've seen some of the articles of some of the reports that have come out, and maybe the ways he was training weren't the most optimal ways for him and maybe the team had better ideas and better options, but he was steered in a different direction. I think with Doc Rivers, Doc Rivers can get him on the path the Sixers want him to be on. What does that mean? I don't know. Does that mean he's going to come back shooting right-handed? I don't know. Or is he going to come back left-handed but better? I mean, I would hope so. You can't get much worse than 32% or 30% for the free throw line. So I would hope it's at least better. And Mark, that's the craziest thing is I keep coming back to this. If he is just okay in that Atlanta series, they win it.
Oh yeah,
and then they have a really good chance to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, especially with Giannis's health.
Yeah.
So they just need him to be this much better to get to the next level of where they want to go. And then obviously ultimately they want to win a championship, but to get to that next step of the Eastern Conference Finals, they don't need Ben Simmons to be that much better. They need to be a little bit better. Do I expect him to come out taking mid-range jumpers and threes and all that? No, but I would hope that his free throw percentage goes up. I would hope he'd be more willing to take an open three or an open shot at the rim. But I don't expect him to, do stuff off the dribble and post people up and start shooting fadeaways and all that. But I think he has to be better from the line. And also, too, Mark, another thing that I think we don't maybe talk enough about, and it was in that your own Weitzman article for Fox, is finishing around the rim. Because I think that's something he needs to be better at. He needs to have better touch around the rim, come more under control, because he's so big and he's so athletic. There's no reason he shouldn't be a better finisher.
I 1,000% agree with you on that, my friend. Well, how about this? Do you believe that he would be better if he wasn't, enjoying his life and going to Wimbledon with another young hottie? Don't answer. I'm so totally kidding by that.
Yeah. No, but dude, he's
gonna live his life. I get it.
Oh my goodness. It's like, I feel like people wanted to be like, I'm sure you're familiar with the movie, The Program. It's a great movie.
Yes.
When Omar Epps has the fumbling problem and the coach makes him carry the ball all around campus. Like, is that what people want with Ben Simmons? Do they want him to spin a basketball on his finger while he's in the crowd? And he can't play basketball 24 hours a day, guys. I mean,
that's the thing. If he was playing basketball, we'd all be looking at it going, yeah, sure, do it during the regular season. Do it in the playoffs. No matter what he does, here's the thing. I don't really give a damn what he does during the offseason. I don't even give a damn if he's ever in a gym, because you know what? Here's where I'm at, Paul. I know he can shoot. We've seen him do it. He has to choose to shoot. It's not a matter of he can't go like that. His shot is prettier than Giannis Antetokounmpo's is. But it's just a matter of choosing to do it. It's a mental thing. Anyway.
It's 100% mental. Yeah, he even acknowledged that. It's mental. It's not, the physical form isn't pretty, but we've seen guys with not pretty physical form and the shot goes in. So it's 100% mental.
I know at the time we're taping this, game one is just tipping off in the NBA Finals. But going into this Finals, who did you like, Suns or Bucks?
I like the Suns. I love the way they're built. I love the way they're playing. Devin Booker and Chris Paul. I mean, I don't know how you stop that. And DeAndre Ayton has become. It's crazy how we looked at that draft. Anyone with a basketball sense said oh man, the Suns really blew it by not taking Doncic or Trae Young. And ultimately, maybe they don't win the finals and they don't ever win it. But right now, the trade's looking pretty okay because they get Chris Paul and they have Devin Booker already. They already have two elite perimeter playmakers. You throw a big like Ayton, who really seems to be finding himself at the exact perfect time. That pick is not looking nearly as bad as it once did. It's just I love the way James Jones built that team, getting Jay Crowder in there to get that toughness, get that edge. Signing a guy like a Cameron Payne on, a guy kind of, one of those on the margins moves that's paying off in a huge way. Like anyone could have had Cameron Payne. The Sixers could have had Cameron Payne. And imagine him doing this off their bench.
Yeah, really.
So I think it's just to kind of tie it in too. Like if I'm going to criticize Daryl Morey for anything, it's that perhaps he could have made a better move or two on the margins that would have made a difference, like a Cameron Payne, or, like we saw with the Clippers with Reggie Jackson, or, with the Bucks with PJ Tucker, like any of those kind of little moves. I don't think we saw enough of those to kind of put them over the top. But yeah, I like the Suns in 5, and I'll say in 6. But I think it could be in 5, depending on how healthy Giannis actually is. I'm
rooting for the Suns, but I still think the Bucks will end up winning the series, especially Look, we're saying this, and Giannis will probably play 1 minute and then not play the rest of the game. But I'll make sure I clarify that live on the show. Anyway, when it comes to this finals, I'll certainly be following. I know you will. When it comes to all things Sixers news, make sure you follow Paul Hudrick on the old Twitterverse, of course. And Paul, I know we mentioned it on the show. You announced it personally, your friends and family, that you and your lovely lady are expecting, and you just found out recently it's going to be a boy. So the baby's going to be a boy. So congratulations, my friend.
Thank you. We are very, very excited. My girlfriend's very nervous about the size of his head, but other than that, we're great.
You Hudricks, you come from a clan of huge, ginormous melons.
Like an orange on a toothpick, Mark.
Be crying himself to sleep tonight in his huge pillow. Anyway, all right. Paul Hudrick, of course, 97.3 ESPN, as well as Coming In for a Landing podcast. Always a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Paul Hudrick, thank you so much.
Anytime, Mark. Thank you.
Paul Hudrick joining us here on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Always a good time talking to Paul Hudrick there on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line. My God, people, the chat is fire today. Can't wait to get the social media check-in. We'll get to that in just 1 second, as a matter of fact. But once again, my thanks to Paul Hudrick. And here's what I just want to say this right now before I hit the rest of the sponsors, before I go to the chat, before I go into our morning rush and all that. I want to get this out of the way right now because I can't say this enough. I don't care about what Ben Simmons is doing in the offseason that either makes its way on the social media or he posts about it on social media. I don't care if a guy is taking off a couple days, a couple weeks. I don't care. I don't care if he's posting pictures of him shooting jump shots in a gym. I don't care. It does not matter to me what Ben Simmons is doing this offseason. As long as, I don't give a damn if he works on his jump shot in the offseason. I don't give a damn about it. I only give a damn about whether or not he comes in the next season and actually plays well and shoots a mid-range game, shoots his foul shots. Because here's what I honestly believe. I believe it's all mental. If he's in a gym and he's working on the shot, great. You should be. You're a professional athlete. Congratulations. I think it's all between the ears. So I'd rather him meet with somebody that can help him with whatever is between the ears. Because physically, as I was just saying to our friend Paul Hudrick, I know he can do it. The bigger problem is that he won't do it in a game. So all the other stuff that happens in the offseason, I can't say it enough. I don't care. The only thing that matters is what he does during the actual season and even during the postseason. I'll even watch his regular season with a grain of salt going, oh, he shot a mid-range shot? Cool. He's hitting his free throws at 70%? Cool. Even then, it won't matter until he gets to the playoffs, where he's had games like he did against the Celtics a couple of years ago where he only scored 1 point, or he has a game where he passes the Matisse Thybulle because he doesn't want to dunk and get fouled and go to the line. All I care about is the bottom line with Ben Simmons. To me, he's only 24 years old. He's going to be 25 years old. He's going to be maybe a 4-time All-Star. It's going to be difficult to make him an All-Star again, but he could be a 4-time All-Star. It's going to be difficult for me to watch what he does next year and get excited until I see him in crunch situations. And it's not about the defense anymore. It's not about facilitating anymore. It's not about court vision anymore. It's not even whether or not he should be a point guard anymore. It's all about whether or not he can take his game to that next level. If he does come back, which I still think he does come back to the Sixers, bottom line. If he does come back to the Sixers, then I need to see that game go to the next level. If not, you trade him. Because you have a guy that's still a pretty good basketball player, but he's not the guy that's going to help you get over the top. He's a guy that'll disappear in the playoffs. A guy with a mid-range game and a guy who's hitting his free throws is not going to disappear in the playoffs, especially when you know how good he is as a defender already. So whatever happens this offseason with Ben, yeah, I'm sure he's going to be in the gym. I'm sure he's going to be working on everything. I'm sure he's going to post pictures on social media. I'm sure he's going to make his way onto TMZ with his new lady friend. All right, fine. I don't care. The only thing I care about is the result. We know he's going to be in a gym. We know he's going to be working on his game. We know we're going to see the shirtless pictures of him. We know we're going to see the video of him shooting threes. And I know there's going to be people, look at this. This is great. Yeah, all of it's out the window. And I haven't cared about the social media stuff for 2 years now. I don't care because we haven't seen the improvement on the court. I want to see the improvement on the court. I want to see the bottom line. I don't care about the BS that surrounds it. Right now, I'm at a point with Ben Simmons where I'm at a cut the crap, Ben, type of moment with Ben Simmons. That's where I am right now. Give me the bottom line. Give me the results. Show me what you can do in the regular season, and at least give me confidence that you'll actually do it in the postseason as well. Until then, I'm not going to be convinced of anything. So yeah, go have your fun. Live your life. You're a young man. You're doing well for yourself. Go do your thing. You live your life, my friend. But when it comes to basketball, I don't care about the offseason photos of workouts. All I care about is what goes on the court when you come back. And all I care about what happens mostly in the playoffs when you come back. That's it. Everything else is window dressing. Everything else is, oh, look, a professional athlete working out. Cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at this. A 24, 25-year-old guy who found a hot lady as his girlfriend. Cool. Good for him. Oh, Wimbledon? Sure. Keep scrolling. And I'll just keep scrolling until the playoffs next year. Because that's all I care about. Everything else, it's like that scene in Fugitive. There's an old reference. When he's about to jump, do the Peter Pan off this here ledge. Just like, I didn't kill my wife. I don't care. That's all I really care about right there. Let's talk about some fine sponsors of this program who I do care about. Rothman Orthopaedics. That's right. Rothman Orthopaedics. Remember the old you? Remember that? The one who didn't have to put up with the fickle knee, finicky hip, or a shoulder that no longer does what a shoulder should do. Well, the Rothman approach to orthopedics is here to get you back to being you, back to running, walking, working, and playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day orthopedics available, same-day appointments available, you could start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, your Eagles, and your 76ers. And how about our good friends at Steak and Maine? Told you guys I was there for lunch this past Friday. It's just fantastic. Steak and Maine, I know they were celebrating Tony Cavada, fellow Italian, celebrating the fine Italy win. We'll get to that more, of course, in the morning rush. But Steak and Maine, fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that and an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in the heart of Northeast Maryland, but a #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself at steakandmaine.com for more information. I hope you're following all that is going on in Philadelphia sports right now on PHLSportsNation.com. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation is a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PhiladelphiaSportsNation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience. You hear me talking all the time about FanUp. We're going to have a man Tasia on next week to talk about all the things you can get involved in with FanUp, with the upcoming football season coming up, with some more NBA finals going on as well. FanUp, you got to download the app right now in the App Store, FanUp, and let the games begin for you. Use promo code FanUp and get 2,000 bonus points to start you off. That's a good time. That's a good sum of points to start off with. And then here's what you can do. You can answer super fun questions, enter their daily and weekly contest, and you could rise on their leaderboard because the days of playing fantasy sports alone, they're over, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you take advantage of all FanUp has to offer. FanUp, just be fans. All right, let's get to our good friends here on the chat here. Our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maine and steakandmaine.com. Here's what we got. We got you guys calling out calling out YouTube for their low the viewer number. We've counted 15. What do we get? 15 people in the chat, up to 15 people in the chat, and it's only 4 views. Interesting, YouTube. Why try to keep a man down? And no, for the people that are suggesting this conspiracy theory, I do not think that it's Mike Sealski controlling the viewership numbers on YouTube. As much as you might want to think that, as brilliant as a guy Mike Sealski is, I don't think he's a computer hacker. But anyway, appreciate everyone checking in here. Let's start at the top, as we always like to do. Dan Swartz checking in. Good morning, everybody. Good to be back. Nice to have you back, Dan. I know you revealed you got some personal stuff going on here in the chat. I'm not going to highlight that part of it, but what I will say is you got us as your support, brother. You got us as your support, and I know a lot of people have already echoed that sentiment in our chat. Brian's checking in saying good morning. Good morning to you, Brian. Benny saying yo at you. Benny, what's happening? Dan's also calling out the Phillies bullpen because they have usually sucked at baseball, and last night Falter did what his name said, and he faltered. But not to the point of the Phillies losing. Phillies still won 15-10, which is nice. Mike saying greetings back at you. Mike Casey checking in. How does one person? How does it say one person? See, Mike, you started the ball rolling on people calling out the viewership numbers on YouTube. Definitely off. Definitely off. Dan's checking in again, saying exactly. Brian notices. Everyone's noticing now. Everyone's calling out Mike Sealski. It's not Mike Sealski. I can guarantee you that much. April's in on the chat. What's going on? Julian, Brian again. Luigi. Well. Luigi, I'm going to attempt to read this as I believe you're delivering it. Well. Got poured on yesterday because it stormed and I wasn't warned. Not blaming anyone, but there was one guy who promised us a weather girl, and well, here we are. I hope I got that correct, Luigi. I hope I was on point with the cadence and delivery in which you wrote that. I did reach out to somebody yesterday. They are all for the 5-bay forecast. We will get that done. I promise you that as late as next week, maybe that means maybe earlier then, but as late as next week, we will have a lovely young lady reading the weather. So there you go. And you know what? Because I believe in being fair and balanced, maybe we'll have the handsome fella. Maybe we'll have a handsome fella do it. Give the people what they want, even it out a little bit. And even though April's like, yeah, you got to have your weather girl, Mark, get the weather girl. I know what, April, I got something coming your way. How about that? Maybe. All right. That's going to be a little bit more difficult, being that I don't know that many dudes that would want to come on and be like, hey, partly sunny. I don't know. That's my impression of any guy I would have on to come do the weather. Farzy promised what? Another chat reference. I guess I leave out the people that just listen to the podcast. Yeah, it's the chat. I hit the chats every day that I'm in studio. And I do appreciate all the people that are suggesting Natalie Eganoff, my good friend. I don't think Natalie's the weather person for that. We got Rick coming back for the first time in a while. Rick, good to have you back. April got him caught up. Sixers suck. Phillies suck. Sealski sucks. You're all caught up. I can't wait to have Mike on again. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll hit Mike up tomorrow, and we'll have some funsies with Mike Sealski. Let's see here. Pokemon conversation making its way into the chat. That's interesting. Mally, what's up, Mally? How you doing, brother? He wants to see McCall Bridges get a ring. That is all. Look. McCall Bridges is one of the guys the reason I'm rooting for the Suns in this series, and it was a hell of a game last night. But Chris Paul overall, just want to see a 36-year-old get the ring that he deserves for one hell of a career. I've been calling the Bucks frauds this whole time. I thought they had a very easy path through the playoffs, especially with drawing the Hawks, who proved to be tougher than a lot of people expected, but mostly because they didn't have to face the Nets that we all thought they were going to have to face. And, man, that would have drove me it still drives me crazy to watch these games and still not be over the fact that the Sixers are not in the NBA Finals right now. But as far as McCall Bridges, I am very much rooting for him to get a ring. I'm not a Nova guy, but, hey, look, I root for the local product, and he's a local product. What else do we have? Mac is suggesting the My Pillow guy is hacking our viewership. Maybe, I don't know. I had a My Pillow. It was all right. It was through an endorsement in radio some years ago. What else do we have here? People wishing Dan their best. Farzy show. You will be sent the list that was promised last week. It's coming, though, to Twitter soon. April, that's an awesome idea. Oh, is there people are saying get Trey on. It's in the works. I promise you that. Trey's coaching kids in Florida, man. That's a brutal man. That's a busy man right now. Schedule's brutal for him. We will work that out, though. I promise you. A list of guests to come on. I believe that's what we're getting into. And I believe that's where we're at right now. Thank you very much to everyone that participated in the chat, as you guys do every day. It is much appreciated. Always great to hang out with you guys in the chat as much as humanly possible. So thanks to everyone there. That was our social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Main at steakandmain.com. Let's roll into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Zach Ertz. Report is that Zach Ertz will show up for training camp if he is obviously still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. I wouldn't expect anything else from Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz has nothing against this team. He has nothing against his teammates. It's all business. And I know that can be said for a lot of people that hold out. It's all business. It's not that they don't want to practice. It's just all business. Zach Ertz is not going to do anything that takes away from this team. I look at Zach Ertz similar to how I look at Malcolm Jenkins. We're sure there's off-the-field stuff that is bothering him, but he's not going to do anything that would be a detriment to his teammates. Zach Ertz is a hell of a teammate. He's a winner. I would not expect anything other than Zach Ertz showing up for training camp on time if he's still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. I referenced yesterday we're going to highlight two things from two previous interviews. One of those things was Zach Berman, what he told us about Zach Ertz. Maybe this does go into training camp where somebody goes down, Eagles are going to wait for the right opportunity where his trade value is going to be absolutely maxed out. I believe right now, and Zach Berman agreed with this, that you have the price is the price. It's right there. It's on the table for the Eagles. 4th round pick, 5th round pick for Zach Ertz. Whatever another team's willing to give you, that's what's on the table right now. But if one of those teams has a 4th or 5th round pick on the table for Zach Ertz, and they either didn't get the tight end they wanted in the draft, or somebody goes down in training camp, then guess what? One of those teams that were already interested in Zach Ertz, maybe, instead of saying 4 or 5, maybe they move that to a 3rd or a 4 for Zach Ertz. And that is what the Eagles are right now crossing their fingers for. Not that necessarily somebody gets hurt, but maybe another trade comes up where somebody has to trade a tight end. Basically, they're holding out hope to get as much as humanly possible, waiting for the last possible minute, last possible second, millisecond even, to see if they can maximize the return that they'll get in a Zach Ertz trade. So that's what's going on right now, and that's pretty much what was highlighted by Zach Berman with this on Monday. Now, the other thing I wanted to highlight in this goes back towards the world of basketball. And when Mark Jackson joined the show, Mark Jackson, NBC Sports Philadelphia, former Sixer, 12-year NBAer, Temple grad. When Mark Jackson joined the show, he talked about Ben Simmons returning to Philadelphia after the playoff performance that he had last year, and how it's almost impossible for Ben Simmons to come back in a Sixers uniform and be forgiven by a fan base that saw what they saw, know what they know. And I love how already it's like we won't even physically say what happened. We won't actually verbalize what happened. It's, and we all know what happened. And when we say that, it's like there's no denying the guy was terrified going to the line. There's no denying that he was terrified in his 6'10" frame, throwing down a dunk that was right here for him. That's where it was. Instead, Thibault here. We all know what happened. When we say that, we're saying that an all-star cowered from the moment. We're saying a max contract guy cowered from the moment. That's what we're saying. Just to get that out of the way. So when you hear a guy like Mark Jackson tell us, like he told us Friday, that we all know what happened, it's going to be difficult for him to come back from that. It does raise your eyebrows. Because that guy's been on the court. That guy's been a player. And you want to talk about fans all knowing what happened? If the fans are talking about it in that light, how do you think the team's talking about it? In all honesty, think about Joel Embiid for a second here. Joel Embiid multiple times in publications has called out Ben Simmons. He has been vague about it, and he's been very specific about it. He's been very vague in a Jack McMullen piece that came out a year ago about Ben Simmons' offensive game needing to expand. He's been vague about it going into the bubble, saying that when we have open shots, we got to take them. Ben. And he's been very specific, blunt, actually, bullish maybe, when he talks about the turning point in the game against the Hawks. With 2:39 left in the game, Ben Simmons didn't dunk. They missed a foul shot. If Joel Embiid is saying that publicly, what do you think he's saying behind closed doors? What do you think he's saying when he's sitting down across from Daryl Morey or Doc Rivers? Do you think he's going to the point of, I can't win with this guy? Excuse me. Do you think he's going to that point? Or do you think he's going to, no, we can stick this out? What's the point? By the way, of all the Joel Embiid impressions I've ever done, that was the worst one. Miss Scusi. But that's what you got to wonder going into. That's what I'm certainly wondering. Talk about the offseason, talk about something I do care about during the offseason. It's what Joel Embiid is saying about Ben Simmons behind those closed doors. Not necessarily behind Ben Simmons' back, because you saw him on the court at that moment go out to him as he's covered a million times. I just thought it was interesting listening to Mark Jackson break it down for us last week. And you can still catch that on our YouTube page as well if people want to check that out. What else do we have? Talking about Zach Ertz. The match. I remember as we get to this. This was put together. I forget the name. I have it on here. I saw this on Instagram because they put this together perfectly. This apparently was what Tom Brady received when he woke up yesterday morning from Phil Mickelson. Check this out. About going into the match.
Being aggressive, hitting bombs. Why is that important? Well, because you've got to hit bombs off the tee, and that's what I'm going to do today. Hit bombs.
That's me on the way to the golf course before I play a round of hack golf with my buddies. I'm just going to hit bombs. That's all. Whatever happens on the green, whatever happens in the fairway, in the event that I actually get to the fairway, I don't care. I'm just going to swing hard and try to hit bombs. And that apparently is what Phil Mickelson emailed Tom Brady before the match. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's something that was spliced together. But according to Tom Brady did tweet that. So that's what you got right there. Now, this is what happened on the course when Tom Brady was talking smack to Aaron Rodgers. Now, they had Gronk on as a phone-in guest. And these are interesting. I enjoy this because it does make you feel like you're along for the ride, like you're caddying for these guys, except you don't have to carry anything. Here's Tom Brady when he was on the phone on the course. They put Rob Gronkowski on the phone to talk to Tom Brady. And the two were going back and forth about getting ready for the season in Tampa Bay. And then Tom took a little shot at Aaron Rodgers' off-season issues with the Packers.
You're not hopefully not at the beach too much. You're ready to go, aren't you? I mean, we're going here in 3 weeks. I know my guy works hard.
I mean, I'm wondering if you're ready. You missed all of OTAs. You're out golfing now. You haven't seen me do anything. I've been just training, getting ready, catching footballs.
I'm studying my competition. Look, I'm 30 yards away from Aaron, who's that the leader of the Packers. I think.
It was the second time in the broadcast, or at least as part of this match, that Tom Brady has taken a little dig at Aaron Rodgers and the offseason issue going on with the Green Bay Packers front office. The other time was a little Jeopardy game they played where he just flat out said he's pissed at his boss. And Aaron Rodgers was like, all right, hold on a second. I never said I was pissed at my boss. And Tom Brady said, no, I said it. So that's how he gets away with it, evidently. And by the way, it's coming up in the chat here, and April's referenced this a couple of times. Do I look burned right now? Do I look sunburned? Or do I look lusciously tan? Because I think I look lusciously tan, but I appreciate the people being concerned. I caked on the sunscreen, as I told you yesterday. But anyway, that was from the match. If you watched it yesterday, it was a good time, and I do consider it to be just like you're out there golfing with your buddies. That's how it feels when you're out there. It's a good time. Let's get into our Big Bets segment. I think that the Suns win both games at home to start off the series. If the Suns are going to win game 2 tomorrow night, here's what I like about it. And I'll get into this more a little bit tomorrow, but here's what I like about this more than anything. If the Suns are going to win game 2, I think it's going to be a Chris Paul double-double and the win type of night. Last night he was an assist shy of a of a double-double. He was at 9 assists with 32 points to lead the game. I think he gets that double-double coming up in game 2. Very rarely do you see Chris Paul go off for 30-point nights back-to-back. So I think that'll be a situation where you have Chris Paul getting his 25 points maybe and leading somebody else getting more points, which means more assists for Chris Paul. That's how I'm making sense of it. So I like the double-double and the win for the Suns in game 2. That's the direction I'll be going, and we'll get into that more a little bit tomorrow. Jack's saying I'm glistening. Thank you. April is saying I look good now. Just a reminder for next time I go play golf. You're damn right. I will cake on the sunscreen. Don't you worry about it. Even more so. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Phillies back at it tonight. Let's hope they get things going here against those Chicago Cubs. And they win the first 3 games of this 4-game series before heading to Chicago to make things happen. Zach Wheeler on the bump today as the Phillies hope to go back to 500. Zach Wheeler going against Alec Mills today. Zach Wheeler 2.05 ERA. Mills is 4.85 ERA. So hopefully the hits keep on coming for the Phillies and the dingers as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyden produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzetta. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take it easy.